Thank you, Jess, and it's a great lead-in by Vivek and James. Thanks, guys. And what a crowd. It's great to be here. It's great to be in London. MessageGears is a customer engagement platform that's warehouse native, built from the ground up for brands with millions of customers. And if you have millions of customers, the challenge of personalizing at scale is exponentially harder, right? As your list size grows. And so we're going to talk about that today and the uniqueness of those challenges. Particularly, we're going to talk about how we do this together for a joint customer with Movable Inc., Front Door. At the Think Summit this summer in New York, we were pleasantly surprised that we won the coveted Best Dynamic Duo Award about improvements in personalization for one of our joint customers, Front Door, American Home Shield in the United States. But let's take a step backwards first and talk about the challenges that they faced before they were able to combine the power of MessageGears and Movable Inc. together to solve their personalization needs. Brands that have millions of customers have a lot of data. You understand who your customers are and generally understand what you want them to see. Is accessing that data to personalize in real time, that's hard. And there's so many things holding you back. So unlocking the power of that data while at the same time keeping that data safe and secure due to GDPR and CCPA and other sorts of data privacy laws is really hard. So in talking today about how to do that, and in the spirit of being in London, Shakespeare's Globe Theatre was right across the Thames here, I asked myself a question: to meme or not to meme? Should I tell this story through memes? And of course, yes, I'm going to tell this story through memes. So let's start with the Spider-Man meme. So we see this all the time. Right, there's a lot of dissatisfaction with, I see some smiles and giggles in the audience, there's a lot of dissatisfaction with ESPs because frankly, it's just hard. It takes, as Vivek so aptly pointed out, the process of getting a campaign out the door is hard. It requires multiple meetings, QA, and a lot of it just moving the data around. It's really difficult, but it's the devil you know. But here's the other thing, it's hard to change ESPs as well. So people just kind of feel stuck and they work on making the most of what they already have. So how do we get here? How do we get to this place where it's harder for marketers than it should be? So we're going to go back in time. We're going to hop in the DeLorean. And we're going to go back a little ways. True story, I was watching Stranger Things with my son. We were catching up on season 3, going into season 4. It's a wildly entertaining television series. But on season 3, the kids were escaping the Russians, I think, and they popped into a movie theater and Back to the Future was on. This is a show based in the mid-'80s. And my son, who's in high school, looked at me and he's like, "Dad, why could the DeLorean travel through time when it reached 88 miles per hour? Is that how fast cars could go back then? Could they not go any faster?" And it's kind of a funny question, but I started thinking about it, like, the mid-'80s was about 20 years before he was born in 2005. 20 years is a long time in technology. 20 years ago seems like it's an eternity. So what was happening in email 20 years ago? This is what the inbox looked like. All right, this is what the inbox looked like. This is what your cell phone looked like. We were watching movies and listening to music on CDs and DVDs. In the lower left-hand corner there, that passed for a flat-screen TV 20 years ago. And this is what email personalization looked like. If you were able to personalize, it was really just getting the first name, last name, and maybe one product, inserted in a template form. And email was 100% batch and blast. It really was. There was no real personalization at scale. As was talked about earlier, Vivek, about the technology changing, it hasn't fundamentally changed in 20 years. You're still using the same ESPs. The big marketing clouds are all ESPs that were built 20 years ago. There's some more modern platforms that have better UIs and are a little bit easier to use, but it's fundamentally the same type of system of accessing data and utilizing it with the same, for you big marketers that have millions of customers, with the same limitations. Your ESP is out of date. We've been doing things too long the same way, and it's time for a change. Let's talk about some brands that are putting the customer at the center and are giving great experiences. Best Buy is a customer of MessageGears. They're a top 20 global retailer. They specialize in electronics. And what's interesting is, they sell electronics. It's a commodity good. They don't sell anything that you can't get somewhere else, that you can't buy online. and have it delivered to you. But Best Buy, during the pandemic, their stock was at an all-time high because they put the customer at the center. When you go to do research, they have reviews, and their website experience is great. It seamlessly works with the app. You can buy things online and pick it up at the store. You can have it shipped to you, return it to the store. They have installation services. It's a great customer experience across all devices, and they're reaping the rewards of that. Expedia.com is a joint customer of Movable Inc. and MessageGears. Think about the customer experience. If you get this right across all your marketing channels, you get a customer for life. Opportunities for things to do while you're traveling. If your flight changes, let the customer know. The odds are, the stakes are very high though, because if you don't tell the customer your flight changed, it's an awful experience. But giving them that great personalization across all their channels is what makes them successful. Home Depot is another joint customer. Home Depot is a massive warehouse. So think about a warehouse that's like 100,000 square feet, and this is what it looks like. They have hundreds of thousands of products in there. Going to Home Depot used to be really intimidating. It's a great store. They're a great customer. But now, I walk into the store, and it's easier than going to my neighborhood hardware store. Their app knows I'm in the store. I type in what I'm looking for. It gives me the aisle and the bin and the amount of inventory available. I can look at that online before I go to make sure it's in stock. It's really an amazing cross-channel experience. So these are brands that, with the combination of the right technologies across channels, are putting their customer at the center and winning. So how do you win? You need to know who your customers are. You need to know what they want to buy. And so we talked a bit about ways to do that. You need to kind of understand when they want it. What time of day are they most receptive to particular offers or messages on what device as well? So these are the things you need to figure out. But even once you figure that out, which is a challenge, making that part of your campaign process is difficult. And it's all because of data friction. You have the data, you have the data scientists that tell you what offers to send, but having access to that in real time across millions of customers is holding you back. This is a visualization of the way the data flow works right now across most brands. You have your data that lives in a modern data warehouse. If you have millions of customers, you probably invested in something that is performant and elastic that you have access to. But all of your different MarTech vendors, all your vendors that need to access this data need a copy of it. That's the way SaaS software works. And so you're sending a copy of that data to your CDP, to your segmentation platform, to your mobile platform, to your ESP. And you have all these copies of this data that's sitting out in all your different vendors. It's all latent. It's not real time. The system of record is sitting in your data warehouse over here. So you have copies of your data that sit across these vendors. They're latent, so it's 1 to 4 days old. And it's not all your data because you can't ship PII outside of your firewall. So you're really hamstrung on how to do this. So you think about all the different types of data you need to personalize: customer data, pricing, loyalty, inventory, catalog data, and the group of tools you need to personalize, and how hard it is to move that data back and forth. And that's why we look like this as marketers more days than not. So let's get back in the time machine. Let's go back to present day, and let's talk about the art of the possible and what email looks like in the modern data tech stack. Number one, you should have direct access to your data. You shouldn't have to make copies of your data across 10 MarTech platforms. You've made investments in your data. Leverage it where it is. Utilize everything you know in real time from 100% of your data. You should be able on that data set to activate that data across any of your marketing channels. And then finally, execute it across email, push, SMS, through a single vendor seamlessly. This is what MessageGears does for our customers. We alleviate data friction by putting the marketer's data at the center of our platform, making it available to you in real time to do what you need to do with it. This is called warehouse native. Snowflake's an example of a modern data warehouse. There are others, like Google BigQuery. A lot of retailers like to use Google. AWS obviously has Redshift. Microsoft has Azure. But this is a blog on Snowflake talking about the power of using your data investments at the center of your marketing activity. So think about the way this works today. You're the customer, you have your data, you work with at least 4 vendors in the MarTech world, this visualizes 4, and each of them need to store your data in their platform for it to work. The future, and the way it works today with MessageGears, is we leverage your data where it lives. This is the way all platforms are going to work in the future, but it's particularly acute today for brands with millions of customers, and the future is ready to go. So let's talk about Frontdoor. So Frontdoor came to MessageGears, and they were on one of the legacy marketing clouds and had a lot of very typical issues. They had to go to their IT team every time they needed to get an audience cut. It would take weeks. They would have to manually upload these audiences into their ESP. It would take weeks and cross-departmental organization to get a campaign out the door, and it still wasn't personalized to their satisfaction. Again, back to the frustrated marketer. So when you think about what a modern data stack should look like, a combination of MessageGears and Movable Inc. can really be all you need. The combination of accessing your data, activating that data, getting recommendations for what your product offers should be, and then doing real-time, view-time content optimization is a full stack. You probably don't even need a CDP if you do that, if you've invested in your data and you're leveraging that data directly. And that is what Frontdoor has done. So they have moved what used to take weeks now to days or hours, and they're able to personalize in real time based on loyalty status, based on current products and what products they want to upsell to, and they've seen incredible lift. So, what does this mean for you? Here's 4 things you won't have to put up with anymore. Number 1, waiting days for data to sync between systems. So we've talked to so many retailers that, like, God, I know what offer I want to send Roger Barnett, but it takes me a week to get it into your inbox. So this is the grandmother walker meme. Back in my day, we had to wait 7 days to get a personalized offer. Sure, Grandma, let's get you to bed. So that goes away. That goes away. Real-time access to data. Home Depot is a great example of this. 15% email engagement. It takes an hour to once they decide what offer to send Roger before it goes out the door to me versus a week. And they were able to save 60% in total cost of ownership, moving off of a legacy marketing cloud onto MessageGears. Long, painful migrations. We talked earlier, one of the reasons you stay with your current ESP is because it's just really hard to move. And frankly, all the other ESPs are kind of similar, so you probably won't see dramatic improvements in your performance. Well, MessageGears is fundamentally different. And part of that differentiation is migrations aren't as painful because it's been 84 years. This is the Titanic meme. That's how long it feels like taking to migrate campaigns. In fact, I've heard stories of ESP migrations lasting longer than the 2-year contract they originally signed. So they're renewing the ESP contract before they're fully launched on it. But MessageGears takes weeks and days. It doesn't take quarters and years. We don't have to migrate your data, copy your data, transform your data. We just sit on top of your data where it lives, and we can start developing campaigns and getting emails out the door. Best Buy sent their first email with us in July of last year, and we were sending $1 billion a month by the time Q4 started for them. So we can access your data quickly, get you up and going quickly, and move to scale. Number 3, spending too much time and money on platforms and tools. So instead of this spaghetti soup of MarTech vendors, you can make smaller the total number of platforms you have to use. OpenTable decided they don't need a CDP anymore when they use MessageGears. Because they've invested, I think they're on Snowflake, because they've invested in Snowflake, and we can read directly from the Snowflake database and do activations, it eliminated one hop of the data, number 1, and number 2, it eliminated part of their tech stack. So they were able to spend 20% less in MarTech spend and personalize better. So they got a 15% lift in lifetime value. And then finally, limited personalization and relevance at scale. You have millions of customers. You need to have personalized experiences for each and every one of them. Expedia told us that their KPIs when they moved to MessageGears increased 38%, and their total cost of ownership decreased by 50%, all while improving the performance of personalizing at scale. So as Mr. Bean would say, magic. It's like magic. Shar is coming up after me, and she's a great speaker, and I look forward to hearing her talk. She included, she's with Forrester. Forrester did a total economic impact survey for us that said marketers get a 400% increase in ROI by using MessageGears with a 6-month payback. Again, if you improve your revenue and decrease your cost, you have dramatic improvements in ROI. And so Shar does the Forrester email wave. And we were included in the first time this past year, and we're excited about that. But I really thought she nailed this quote about MessageGears. Big data and security-savvy companies who don't want to port their data into a vendor-managed system will find MessageGears a bullseye. We certainly think all of you should not want to port your data somewhere else. MessageGears is fortunate to work with some of the biggest, most demanding brands in the world. We only work with big enterprises. Only customers with millions or tens of millions or 100 million individuals they need to personalize. Home Depot, Best Buy, Expedia, Woucher is a London-based company that we just signed up, T-Mobile, Indeed.com. So, thank you, Leonardo DiCaprio. Here's to the memes, and thank you all. I really appreciate your time. I'm here today, and Matt McKernan, Matt, you mind standing up on my team or waving your arm? He's here as well. We'd love to talk to you. Look forward to getting to know you. Thanks, guys.